Hello all and welcome to The Big Story, where we discuss the hottest topics of the day right here in the heart of the newsroom. I'm Haryanto, coming to you live from the Straits Times. Now, we are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, so be sure to hit the like, comment and share button. While you're at it, also make sure that you hit the bell button so that you'll be alerted to our videos. Now, I'll have my newsroom colleagues joining me to talk about the stories that got you talking today. Now, Google has stopped providing software and hardware services to Chinese smartphone maker Huawei to comply with the US government order. Future versions of Huawei smartphones that run on Android will lose access to popular services including the Google Play Store, Gmail and YouTube apps. To tell us more about this ban, I have tech editor Irene Thum with me. Hello Irene.
Hello.
Irene, first of all, I think users, they want to know, how does this ban affect Huawei and Honor users?
Okay. In short, I think only for future handsets actually. But even so, okay. Why don't we just recap a little bit what the recent move means for users and what what Google was actually doing. So for future handsets, Huawei handsets and Honor handsets, they will not come preloaded with Google apps like Play Store and a lot of their proprietary apps like Gmail and YouTube, Google Maps, and so on. These are proprietary to Google, so they will not come preloaded.
Right.
And also, Google will not be pushing the updates to its software and security patches to its software promptly to Huawei. So, but it will still eventually go to Huawei because you must understand that Google operating system is based on an open source platform, and any user of this open source platform will have access to any updates. So eventually Huawei will still get it, but it may not be. They may not get like a preferred access to some of these updates, just like the other handset makers, like the Google endorsed handset makers like Samsung and so on, companies which are not on the blacklist. So, but even so, this does not mean that your phones will lack security because pushes to end users are done by your device makers. So for example, even if Google supplies the software to Samsung, they will still need to internalize it before they push it out to end users. And usually this takes a while. There's usually a delay. And so this delay may not be material to Huawei users. Huawei will still eventually get it from when Google publishes it to the rest of the world. Huawei still needs to internalize it before it pushes it out to its end users. And on the point about the apps not being preloaded on Huawei handsets, well, if you find a way to sideload Google Play Store, you have access to everything.
As well,
because the agreement is between the user and Google, and it's not something that Huawei is not part of it.
And you know, Irene, beyond just it affecting, of course, on consumers, and this ban also points to an even bigger issue at hand. And you're going to be writing a commentary with regard to the division between US and China, which is going to be published tomorrow. More on that.
It signals two tech worlds. Which we may not be unfamiliar with because I mean, China, behind the Great Firewall, has its own universe, its own e-services universe. For example, it has an alternative to our favorite apps like Google, Facebook, and so on. They have their Baidu, Weibo, Youku, and Renren. Their own version of our social networks. In the software and e-services space, not much different from what it is right now. But I guess the impact will be moving forward in the hardware world when you will have two separate developments. Everything will have to be duplicated for two different platforms, one for the US, one for China, and possibly for the rest of the world. And we're not sure if the US will pressure its allies to adopt its stance and its measures against China. So then there will be more, it will be split right in the middle.
And I mean, on that note, what about Singapore then? Will we be affected by it?
I think we sort of belong to the rest of the world, and because we are heavy on a lot of US, American technologies, we might be pressured to to take sides.
Yeah.
Either Chinese technologies or the US technologies, but we're not sure what will happen next. Because the story is still waiting to unfold.
Correct. Certainly, like what Irene mentioned, that the story is still developing, and of course, do check out Irene's commentary piece, which is coming out tomorrow as well on straitstimes.com. Again, for more updates on the Huawei ban, and of course, everything that is happening with regard to the tech world between these two giants, right? US and China. Do head over to our website at www.straitstimes.com. Once again, thank you, Irene, for being here to share more light on this whole issue at hand. Thank you, Irene. Now, on to our next segment. Result is in and confirmed. Now, Indonesia's President Joko Widodo has defeated his old rival Prabowo Subianto at the polls again. Now, this time, Mr. Joko won by more than double the votes he had garnered at their last presidential race in 2014. Now, Mr. Jokowi, as he is affectionately known, won 55.5% of the votes against his opponents, which garnered 44.5% according to the Elections Commission. Now, I have here with me foreign editor Jeremy Ao Yong to share more about this. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thanks, Ariane.
Now, Jeremy, the question is this election result expected, or was it surprising? Especially when it looks like a landslide victory for Jokowi.
Okay, I think we need some context to that, and I think it's useful to recap a little bit of what has happened leading up to the point where we got today's result. The election actually took place, and it is the world's largest single-day election involving 200 million voters. They all vote on one day, April 17th. This took place more than a month ago. All the voting took place then, and actually on the same day itself, we had pollsters who do this quick count where they sample different polling stations and they give you a projection of who's going to win. On April 17th, on that day, all pollsters actually projected that Jokowi would win, winning roughly 55% of the vote.
Oh, so it is quite close,
Yes, so since then, since April 17th, all we've done so far is wait. We've been waiting for the elections commissions in Indonesia to publish the official result. And every week or so, you see, they're like 60% counted, 68% counted, until last night, somewhere between 3 and 4 a.m., 100%. And they announced, the result. The result, 55%, very close to what we had predicted. And really, this was an election that everybody said that Jokowi was going to win anyway. So everybody was interested in the margin. And the margin turned out to be very, very close, again, to what the quick counts had predicted. And the quick counts historically have been quite accurate. This is another more evidence that they can be trusted. So is it a surprise? Not really. We've been waiting for this specific result for 1 month.
Right. And of course, Jeremy, you talk about the election results being quite close, right? I mean, of course, with the prediction and all that. And Prabowo did mention also that he's not going to go down without a fight. He's to challenge the official election result in the Constitutional Court. Is this going to affect Indonesia at all? How will this play out in Indonesia?
Okay, fortunately, this is ground we've tried this ground before. We've been here before, we know what it's like. Because in 2014, these same two candidates contested the 2014 election. And we got the same result. And then Prabowo challenged the result in Constitutional Court. So this time, he hasn't done it yet, but throughout the past month, we've been waiting for the official result. He has been saying there has been electoral fraud. Elections are fraudulent. His own internal polling shows him winning. So he has always said that he's going to reject. Today, after the result came out, he said he will challenge. So process-wise, he has 3 days now to issue a formal challenge to the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court will then, based on what happened last time, it will take about a month. I think by end of June, they will make a decision. And if, like last time, they rejected him, then that's that. The Constitutional Court has final say. So in 2014, he lost by 6.3 percentage points. Now it's more than double that. I think very unlikely that Prabowo will be successful in his challenge.
Yeah,
he has talked about bringing it to the UN or some international body, but I'm not sure he has that international support.
Right. And of course, Jeremy, has this whole election results and all that sparked protest because there have been warnings of attacks as well.
Yes.
Is it safe in Indonesia?
Yeah, I was speaking to our guys in Jakarta in the bureau, and they're telling me today everything's been very quiet on the streets, and there hasn't been any travel advisory warning people not to go. Sure, there has been some tension, and actually throughout the past month, there have been occasional rallies or protests, even around the Election Commission's building, and there have been arrests of some of terror cells actually who were threatening to attack. To stage attacks on the day the results are announced. So even there are 32,000 troops that were moved into Jakarta to protect the buildings and to prevent the attack. And so far it seems okay. There is a rally that's planned today at the time of Buka Puasa. So we'll see what happens then. But so far it seems okay.
So far it all seems okay. So there you've heard it, from our foreign editor Jeremy. Of course, we are keeping very close touch with our correspondents who are there as well. And so far, like what you mentioned, everything seems quiet. But of course, it's still developing. The story is still developing, and of course, for more updates on the Indonesia election, you can visit our microsite, which is in just about here. I think the link is going to come out soon. If not, you can also go. There you go. That is the link to our microsite for our Indonesia election. But of course, you can also head over to our straitstimes.com website for more information on the election in the days to come. Once again, thank you, Jeremy, for coming on board to share more about this election. Now on to local news right here in Singapore. Now Singapore and Malaysia have signed an agreement to defer construction of a cross-border MRT link-up till September 30th this year. As part of the deal, Malaysia will also reimburse Singapore more than $600,000 for abortive costs incurred as a result of the 6-month suspension. Now speaking at the joint press conference, Transport Minister Koh Boon Wan said Singapore hopes for the project to resume after the suspension, either in the current form as prescribed in last year's bilateral agreement or incorporating any changes to the project scope. Now to tell us more about the suspension of the planned rapid transit system link, I have political correspondent Adrian Lim with me right here. Welcome, Adrian.
Hey, hi.
Adrian, I understand that you were at the press conference.
Yes, I was.
Tell us, was it very tense? Because this is an issue, this is a matter that has been spoken of quite a bit at that level, right, between Singapore and Malaysia. How was the atmosphere like there?
Well, it wasn't tense at all. In fact, it was pretty cordial, very warm. The press conference was, the whole event, there are two parts to it. One was a joint signing of some documents, the agreement, and the other one would be they were going to hold a joint press conference. So when the ministers came in this morning, they sat down at the table, they were ready to sign documents, but documents were not ready yet. So, I could see the two of them chatting. They looked very friendly towards each other, and because the documents weren't ready yet, they proceeded to have the joint press conference first, and then once that was wrapped up, then they went on for the signing. So you could see, both sides are willing to, on the spot, do some kind of spontaneous impromptu, make sure that the whole thing went smoothly. So I do see them as being very warm and friendly towards each other.
And Adrian, understand that, of course, the terms and conditions of the agreement have been spelled out as well. What are some of the terms of the suspension?
Right, so as part of the suspension, Malaysia is going to pay Singapore more than 600,000. This is for the abortive costs, and from what we understand, these are the costs that have been incurred by Singapore. So as you know, a bilateral agreement was signed between Singapore and Malaysia last year to build this rapid transit system, RTS link we call it. So Singapore has already done some work. For example, this afternoon, the ministers were brought on a site visit to where the RTS link site will be in Woodlands North. And Singapore already started leveling some of the ground on the work site.
And you were there as well?
Yes, I was there. So it's a 10-hectare work site, and it was where the RTS link was going to be, where the CIQ, your customs, immigration, quarantine facilities are going to be. And it's where people will board the train to go to Johor Bahru.
Right. And of course, Adrian, with this suspension, are we still on track, pun intended of course, with the target opening date by December 31st, 2024?
Well, so this question was posed to the ministers at the press conference, and according to our Transport Minister, Common One, he said that we could, if the project resumes after September, based on what was agreed on last year, he expects a delay for maybe a couple of years, but he wouldn't say exactly how long the delay would be. On the Malaysian side, we had a different point of view actually. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said that they would actually try to meet the deadline, and he expects that they could do some things to maybe play catch up, but he didn't really elaborate on what these things would be.
On all this, and definitely, you know, more details will be coming out in the months and to come as well with all the agreement that's been signed. Now, for more updates, of course, on the RTS link, do visit our website at www.straitstimes.com. Once again, thank you so much, Adrian, of course, you know, for coming on board here to share with us more about, you know, this matter at hand, the RTS link, and what we can expect, you know, moving forward from here. So there we have it, our top stories of the day. For more news and videos, do head over to our website at www.straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Haryanto. Join us same time tomorrow for more stories on A Big Story.